Southerners, we just love to have a good time. So thank you all for being here. Today, we're going to hear from four nominees, Mitch Graves, Jeff Haygood, Randy Jones, and Art Graham, to serve as members of the TVA's Authority's Board of Directors. And it's well past time we had this hearing and started to fill up the Board of Directors with great talent. I look forward to learning more about each one of your goals and priorities today. In 1933, Congress passed the Tennessee Valley Authority Act, which establishes the TVA as a federally owned public utility to serve the people of the Tennessee Valley across 7 southeastern states. The law charges TVA with 3 primary roles: providing electricity, managing the Tennessee River system, and assisting with economic development efforts. If confirmed, the nominees before us will be required to support and uphold each of these fundamental responsibilities of TVA, which have served the people of the Tennessee Valley very well for decades. In particular, I've seen the positive impacts of TVA's economic development efforts in the Appalachian region and hope the nominees will continue to prioritize those activities. TVA's mission to provide affordable and reliable electricity is no small challenge and vital to the well-being of its customers. Today, TVA is the 3rd largest electricity generator in the United States, providing energy to more than 10 million people and 800,000 businesses across the Tennessee Valley, in partnership with 153 local power companies. The families and businesses that call the Tennessee Valley home fund TVA's operations through their energy bills, and in return, these customers expect affordable and reliable energy. Tennessee Valley is forecasted to, over the next decade, need a dramatic increase of between 30 and 80% of its current power generation capacity to meet rising demand. To meet this growing demand, the board will have to make strategic long-term investment decisions to ensure adequate future capacity while maintaining reasonable and affordable electricity bills for its customers. No small task. However, to move forward with these vital planning and investment decisions, the TVA Board of Directors needs a quorum. Without a quorum, TVA is currently unable to conduct the full range of business necessary to support the people of the Tennessee Valley. Confirming these nominees to the board will enable TVA to move forward with planning new power generation capacity, approving large power load applications to support economic development, and other important actions like improving the 2025 Integrated Resource Plan. Now, turning to our witnesses today. First, we will hear from 2 nominees that call Tennessee home, Mr. Graves and Mr. Haygood. Mr. Graves is currently the CEO of West Cancer Center and has more than 30 years of experience in healthcare leadership positions. Mr. Graves also serves on the board of Memphis Light, Gas, and Water, of which he is a past chair. Mr. Haygood is an attorney with a wide range of experiences in business across legal, athletics, real estate, and agriculture industries. Next, Mr. Jones of Alabama will deliver his testimony. Mr. Jones is a longtime owner of a highly successful insurance agency and currently serves on the City of Gunterville's electric board. Finally, we'll hear from Mr. Graham from Florida, a chemical engineer by training. He brings 15 years of experience as a member and 3-time chair of Florida Public Service Commission, and he is a former member of the Board of Directors of the National Association of the Regulatory Utility Commissioners. The diverse backgrounds and experiences these nominees would bring to the board would position TVA to make effective long-term decisions. I look forward to hearing more about each nominee's priorities for the board and how they will work to have a positive impact for the people of the Tennessee Valley. With that, I'll recognize our ranking member, Senator Whitehouse, for his opening statements, and then we'll go to introductions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I get to TVA, I want to discuss permitting reform for a minute. You and I both want permitting reform, as do colleagues on the Democratic and Republican side. All sorts of interest groups are in pitching me on permitting reform. There is a lot to fix, and I am happy to and will continue to engage in these conversations, not just with you, but also with our colleagues on the Energy Committee. But remember what I warn constantly about: trust. Why would we want to do bipartisan permitting reform during an administration that won't faithfully execute that law, that can't be trusted? Trust matters, and the Trump administration is busily destroying any hope of that trust with unrelenting and often illegal assaults on clean energy. Off my state, they dropped an illegal stop work order on a project nearing completion with $4 billion invested and every permit in place. Listen to this. When whoever it was at Moscow Central demanded the illegal stop work order, government lawyers had to go into court and reverse arguments they had been making in that same courthouse about that same project just weeks earlier. The exact opposite arguments. Of course they got crushed. But from a trust perspective, where is the good faith there? It's gangster gong show quality stuff. 2 weeks ago, Interior canceled environmental review on America's largest solar energy project. The energy executive order contends that solar and wind energy aren't even energy. Even the dictionary is violated. This is kind of bureaucratic Al Capone quality stuff. So it's very hard to find a glimmer of good faith. The administration's kill list of clean energy projects starts with projects in blue states, but just wait. The full list targets red states as well. They've already pulled the permits for projects in red states like Lava Wind in Idaho. On Monday, Secretary Burgum declared that he had no interest in including offshore wind in a permitting reform proposal. Well, guess what? Unless the illegal acts stop, and unless offshore wind is included, good luck with the trust required for a permitting deal. And where are my Senate Republican colleagues? It used to be your stated principle that government shouldn't be weaponized, that government shouldn't pick winners and losers, that regulators should be honest and not take private property, and that lawful permits should be honored. Now everyone is mute while government is weaponized, picks winners and losers, illegally damages private interests who have lawful permits, all because what? The picked winner is the fossil fuel industry? Just think about that a moment. When the winds change and your favorite industry isn't the picked winner anymore, do you really want the lawless America, the pay-to-play America of this administration? The Republican Party has long claimed to be the party of free market capitalism, yet you seem fine with this level of government interference in free enterprise. Stop work Trump's interference in all these projects isn't just putting thousands of hardworking Americans out of a job, it's raising the cost of capital for all projects, even fossil fuel projects. Folks, this is what the Founding Fathers meant when they talked about corruption. When the government comes in and shuts down a lawful project to please its political donors, we're no longer in the United States of America, we're in Venezuela. So colleagues, I will keep working in good faith on the substance of permitting reform. I promise you that. But that gate I've said we will need to get through, that trust check, is looking increasingly implausible. Without a drastic change in behavior, I'm not seeing a pathway to that trust. Without perhaps even some change in personnel, I'm not seeing a pathway to that trust. If that's fine with all of you, well, keep it up. But don't blame me when permitting reform crashes and burns, because all trust, all rule of law has crashed and burned. And by the way, if that's lost, that's going to affect highway bills, WRDA bills, all sorts of other legislation that requires trust in the faithful execution of the laws. On the nominees to govern the TVA, which by statute must maintain national leadership in technological innovation, low-cost power, and environmental stewardship, the Trump administration is on course to technological devolution, higher cost power, and environmental destruction, with fewer jobs and less accountability, but more reward for fossil fuel mega donors. If you know how grids work, it's easy to see how reducing clean power requires more expensive polluting units to be dialed up to meet projected demand, especially as demand surges from data centers. That cost increase comes from ratepayer pockets, hammering people's electric bills. There have been bright spots. In 2024, more than half of TVA's electricity came from zero-carbon sources like nuclear, hydroelectric, and renewables. TVA has led the charge on deploying advanced reactors and plans deployment of 10 gigawatts of solar by 2035. It's retired or announced retirement of 86% of its polluting, expensive coal fleet. But it has approved nearly 5 gigawatts of new natural gas generation since 2019 without carbon offset or removal. My question is, will the nominees before us advocate for TVA's customers, or they will roll over for Trump administration schemes to build or extend expensive polluting fossil plants to help out the big Trump donors at ratepayer expense? Will Tennessee Valley ratepayers pay the price for that, with higher utility bills, medical expenses, and housing and insurance costs as climate change fuels more and more costly disasters? The nominees appear here under a cloud that is not their own fault. Trump fired 3 Democratic board members, upending the convention of a bipartisan TVA board and depriving the board of its quorum. Are Republicans okay with that? How about when the winds change? Political interference to enrich political megadonors is the exact opposite of what is needed to run a proper utility. A public board like the TVA board needs competent visionaries. I will just say that the classic pay-to-pay political spoil system has never worked for the public. History shows that. And it could well wreak its havoc on TVA and its 10 million customers. I look forward to hearing from the nominees whose interests they will put first. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Whitehouse. Before I turn to Senator Blackburn, I am going to respond just for 1 minute on the permitting. In the same symposium on Monday evening where I and Congressman Westerman, Westerman from the House side, both reiterated several times that permitting reform has to be agnostic as to what project it is. It doesn't matter if it's a natural gas, coal, wind, solar, to me. If you get the permits and you do the things that you need to do to be permitted, you should move forward no matter what. You were reminded, if I could say, I think it was Senator Lummis reminded you yesterday that we feel your pain. The XL pipeline that was canceled the first day of the Biden administration is a good example of that. So we have mutual pain here. This is why I think we can get permitting reform, but I understand and I get your message, so thank you. This morning we're joined by Senators Blackburn, maybe Haggerty, and Tuberville to provide remarks before the committee. We'll begin with Senator Blackburn to introduce Mr. Graves and Mr. Haygood, both from Tennessee, nominated to be members of the Board of Directors of the TVA.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I am delighted to join you this morning and introduce these 2 fine Tennesseans. As you said, Mr. Mitch Graves has served on the Board of Commissioners of Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. We call it MLGW since 2016. And MLGW is the largest 3-service utility in the country and the Tennessee Valley Authority's largest customer. During his tenure, he has chaired the pension and OPEB funds, as well as the Hedge, Audit, and Human Resource Committees, and briefly served as CEO, providing steady leadership in one of Memphis's most critical public institutions. He has over 37 years of executive leadership experience in complex regulated industries. He currently serves as Chief Executive Officer of the West Cancer Center and Research Institute, leading a multi-state healthcare organization with more than 100 providers and 750 employees. Prior to this role, he served as president and CEO of Health Choice LLC and held key executive positions at Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. His expertise has been recognized nationally through his service on United Healthcare's Executive Advisory Council and Cigna's National Healthcare Advisory Council, where he has provided valuable insight on healthcare strategy and innovation. With his deep roots in the Memphis community, decades of executive leadership, and steadfast commitment to public service, he represents the best of Tennessee's business and civic leadership, and I'm confident that his experience and dedication will continue to serve our state and nation well. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Jeff Haygood from the small community of Persia to serve on the TVA Board of Directors. In addition to his 35-year legal career, Mr. Haygood has built and managed a diverse portfolio of successful businesses across our state. His business ventures have included many storage facilities, warehouses, urgent care medical clinics, a large trucking operation, residential subdivisions, restaurants, apartments, commercial properties, farmland, and a sports agency. His extensive experience in business and management brings a vital private sector perspective to TVA's leadership. Beyond his professional accomplishments, he has dedicated much of his life to serving his community. He has served on numerous nonprofit boards, mentored children through Big Brothers and Big Sisters for nearly a decade, and for almost 20 years has led his church's shut-in ministry, personally preparing and delivering meals to those unable to leave their homes. His commitment to service reflects the very values TVA was founded upon. With his legal expertise, entrepreneurial success, and unwavering commitment to service, Mr. Haygood embodies the values that have long defined the people of the Tennessee Valley. I'm confident that his leadership will bring strength, accountability, and common sense stewardship to the TVA Board of Directors. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Blackman. Now I'll turn to Senator Haggerty.
Thank you, Chairman Capito and Ranking Member Whitehouse. I appreciate your holding this important nominations hearing today. My home state of Tennessee is dependent on the Tennessee Valley Authority for the entirety of our energy supply. And while TVA touches a number of other states in the Valley, Tennessee has only one option for our vital energy needs, and that is the TVA. It's my honor to introduce two outstanding Tennesseans, Mitch Graves and Jeff Haygood, who've been nominated by President Trump to serve on the board of directors of the Tennessee Valley Authority. Both men bring decades of leadership experience in business, management, and community service. You've heard from Senator Blackburn the extent of their experience. Their proven record of results makes them exceptionally well qualified to help guide TVA at this critical moment in our nation's energy future. I'd also like to recognize Randy Jones and Art Graham, who, while not from my home state, bring valuable experience, valuable expertise, and valuable perspective that, if confirmed, will help advance the Valley's vision for affordable, reliable energy, regional growth, and technological innovation in the years ahead. But this hearing is about more than the four nominees sitting in front of you. It's about the future of American energy dominance and the transformative role that TVA can play in securing that dominance. The Tennessee Valley Authority is uniquely positioned to lead America's nuclear energy revival and shape the direction of our country's power generation for the next century. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to ensure American energy independence and technical dominance. The 21st century economy will be powered by artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and advanced manufacturing, all of which demand vast amounts of reliable baseload power. The ability to generate that power is critical to ensuring that the United States continues to be the global leader. And let me be clear, failure in this endeavor is not an option. Nuclear energy is in Tennessee's DNA, and nuclear energy is the solution that can meet our future needs at scale. TVA is already leading the way. It holds the nation's only early site permit for a small modular reactor, making it the clear frontrunner in America's nuclear resurgence. SMRs are safer, more efficient, and more replicable than traditional reactors. Now is time to deliver. Unfortunately, TVA's potential has too often been constrained by bureaucracy and a lack of vision. For too long, the board prioritized process over progress and metrics over mission. But today, we have an opportunity to change that, to empower new leadership that will cut through the red tape and move TVA forward with renewed purpose. The Trump administration's decisive action to bring fresh leadership to TVA ensures that we can confirm board members who understand the urgency of this moment, leaders who will champion innovation, job creation, and energy independence. Mitch Graves and Jeff Haygood understand the responsibility before them. They recognize that TVA's role in deploying advanced nuclear technologies is central, not just to Tennessee's prosperity, but to America's national security and our global competitiveness. I'm confident that under their leadership, TVA will act boldly, deliver a clear plan to make TVA the driving force in America's energy and technology future. If TVA succeeds, the United States will lead the world in reliable and scalable energy production. If it fails, we risk ceding that ground to adversaries like China. The stakes could not be higher. This is America's moment to lead, to enter a new era of energy innovation that powers our economy, that strengthens our security, and secures a new American golden age. I'm proud to support these 4 qualified nominees to serve on the TVA Board of Directors, and I look forward to their swift confirmation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And now we have Senator Tuberville to introduce Mr. Jones of Alabama, who's obviously been nominated to be a member of the Board of Directors of the TVA. So, Senator Tuberville, thank you for coming. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Ranking Member. It's my honor to introduce my good friend and fellow Alabamian, Mr. Randy Jones of Guntersville, Alabama, to represent the state of Alabama on the 1 seat that we have on the TVA board. Randy is a proud business owner and a civic servant of North Alabama. Over 45 years, he's started his own insurance agency and has grown it substantially over the years, making him a big player in the state of Alabama. For 17 years, Randy has served on the Guntersville Electric Board, where he oversaw a $12.8 million expansion of the system while keeping their debt low, which is very important. He has also served on the Business Council and Renewal Commission of Alabama and Jacksonville State University's Board of Directors, where he oversaw significant infrastructure and economic development efforts across our state. Mr. Jones' strong background in business and civil service sets him up to be a valuable board member of the TVA. I am grateful for the hard work he's done so far in Alabama and look forward to working with him on the TVA board. Thank you for being here today, Randy Jones. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. And I would ask the witnesses if they will move to the witness table, nominees, and I will swear you in. I'm going to ask you to stand, so save you the up and down. And raise your right hand, please, and answer the following questions. And I'll start with Mr. Graves. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give to this committee is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Chairman.
Mr. Haygood? Yes. Yes, Chairman. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Let the record show that the witnesses have answered in the affirmative, and so we will now hear from our witnesses. Thank you. Mr. Graves, when you are ready, everybody seated, you can proceed with your opening statement, and thank you for being here. I think you might need to turn is your microphone on?
We practiced that, and I somehow forgot that part. Chairman Capito, Ranking Member Whitehouse, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today and for considering my nomination to the Tennessee Valley Authority's Board of Directors. For the record, my name is Mitch Graves. I'm a 4th-generation Memphian. It is an honor to have been nominated by President Trump to serve an institution that has played such a vital role in the Tennessee Valley for 90 years, providing affordable, reliable electricity, fostering economic growth, and protecting the region's natural resources. I've had personal experience with every aspect of TVA's mission. As a lifelong Memphian, I experienced TVA's dam, Pickwick Lake, formed from that. And from childhood, fishing with my grandfather to water skiing as a young adult. I've seen firsthand how TVA has played a critical role in my hometown's economic development over the years, bringing jobs and opportunity. And of course, TVA has provided our citizens with low-cost electricity through our local power company, Memphis Light, Gas and Water, better known as MLG&W. Since 2016, I have served on the Board of Commissioners of MLG&W. And as the Senator said earlier, MLG&W is the largest three-service utility in the country and TVA's largest customer, accounting for about 10% of its revenue. I have served as chairman of MLG&W and for a brief time period, interim CEO. During my term as chairman, MLG&W explored alternative suppliers of energy. We developed an integrated resource plan from which then we developed a request for proposal. After reviewing numerous options, MLG&W decided against selecting any bids and recommended staying with TVA, a decision that underscores both TVA's value and its importance to Memphis. Throughout that process, TVA stood out to its reliability and low rates. I also gained a better appreciation of TVA's balanced generation portfolio and how critical that is in keeping the lights on and cost low. Memphis and the Valley are well served by TVA. In addition to serving as chairman, I have served as chairman of the MLG&W Pension and OPEB funds and chairman of Hedge, Audit, and Human Resource Committees. If confirmed, I am pleased to bring my direct governance experience in the public utility sector to the TVA board. As outlined in the materials I have submitted to the committee, I have over 37 years executive leadership experience in complex regulated environments. In my current role as Chief Executive Officer of West Cancer Center and Research Institute, I lead a multi-state healthcare organization with 100 providers and over 750 employees. Prior to that, I served as President and CEO of Health Choice, LLC, and held executive leadership roles at Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. I've had the privilege of serving on many corporate, nonprofit, healthcare, and governmental boards, most often in leadership roles. My background in executive management, combined with utility governance and community service, will enable me to provide balanced oversight while helping advance TVA's mission of energy delivery, environmental stewardship, and economic development. If confirmed, I will uphold the TVA Act and work to ensure that TVA stays true to its mission and continues to meet the needs of families, businesses, and communities across the Valley, not just for today, but for generations to come. I would like to thank Senator Blackburn and Senator Haggerty for being here today and their kind words. I would also like to thank Representative Kustoff, who's in the audience, and Governor Bill Lee for their support. There are a few people in the audience I would like to also thank for their support. My wife, Kelly Jo, daughter, Caroline, her new husband, Kayvon, good friends, Mike Keeney, Billy and Robin Orgel, and Courtney Smith. I certainly appreciate all TVA has done for my community, and I look forward to giving back. And I look forward to collaborating with you all and answering your questions today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll go to Mr. Haygood.
Chairman Capito, Ranking Member, White House, and members of this committee, my name is Jeff Haygood, and I sincerely thank you for the opportunity to appear before you. I was indeed humbled that President Trump nominated me to be on the Tennessee Valley Board of Directors, and I'm very grateful to my two senators, Marsha Blackburn and Bill Haggerty, for their kind words and support. I was born and raised in Persia, Tennessee, a little hamlet about 65 miles from Knoxville. I was fortunate to be raised in a wonderful home and in a wonderful community. My father, Larry Haygood, was the best man I've ever known. My mother, Doris Haygood, was the best mother anybody could ever have. My daddy was a rural mail carrier, and he grew tobacco on our little farm to supplement our income. He also founded the Persia Utility District. I saw firsthand what a difference that made in my little community. My mother worked for TVA as a secretary. I so remember my mother talking about how proud she was to work for TVA and how much she loved her work. My mother's only sister, Virginia, and my mother's little brother, Joe Don, had careers at the TVA as well. So just as TVA was important to my family, it was also important to my community. As a child, I would often pedal my bicycle down our little rural road, chalk level road, to gaze at those towering smokestacks at the John Sevier fossil plant. TVA was more than an employer. It was the economic heartbeat of my little community, offering the best paying jobs and fueling growth and opportunity. Today, TVA continues to drive energy production, economic development, and access to natural resources across our region, benefits that remain vital to the communities where I grew up and where I now live. Preserving and enhancing these opportunities should be a priority for all of us who want to serve this region. Now, my parents had little formal education, but they both understood the value of education and had the expectation that I would be the first in my family to go to college. With their sacrifices, I attended the University of Tennessee and got a degree in an honors program and got my law degree. Upon graduation, I took a very unconventional path for a new lawyer. At that time, I opened my own little practice. I made $5,218 my first year. I'm happy and thankful to say that both my little firm and I have grown significantly over the past 35 years. My practice is always focused on litigation, and I've represented people from all walks of life with all kinds of cases. I've represented everyone from top business executives and athletes to hardworking folks who kept their offices clean and those who provided security for our offices. I think I treated them all, and I sure hope I did, and their cases with the same care and with the same zeal. While I've practiced law full-time for the last 35 years, I've always had a particular interest in business. Since 1990, with the help of partners, I've built and developed many storage facilities and storage warehouses, urgent care medical clinics, a large trucking operation, subdivisions, restaurants, apartments, and commercial buildings. I've purchased and developed farmland, and I co-founded a sports agency that represents many NFL players. I believe my background in business enables me to offer TVA the perspective of not only a businessman, but someone outside of the public utility sector. I've had to learn how to learn personnel management, evaluate personnel, know when and how to raise capital and when and how to deploy it, hire the right people, and get the right technology. Now, TVA has a mission of service, and I align myself with that mission. Throughout my life, I've strived to give more back to my community than I've taken. I've served on the boards of many, many nonprofits. I've contributed time, not just money. For nearly a decade, I went into the worst project in Knoxville every Monday night and mentored 2 twins. For 20 years, I've prepared myself meals and delivered those for those that are shut in and led my church's shut-in ministry. On a personal note, I met my wife, Millicent, at our church, and we've been married for 6 years. We have a 3-year-old son. His name is Quinn. Faith and family are the cornerstones of our lives. I share this background of legal experience, business acumen, service to my community and state, and my appreciation for what TVA has meant to my family and to my community because it demonstrates the values and experiences I would bring to the TVA board if confirmed. Today, I commit to bringing strong leadership, common sense, and accountability to the people TVA serves. I will never lose sight of the communities like my hometown of Persia, Tennessee, and the common man and the common woman. I'll be a voice for the mission and values that were set forth nearly 100 years ago in the founding of the Tennessee Valley Authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Capito and Ranking Member Whitehouse and members of the committee. It is a privilege to appear before you today, and I am deeply honored to have been nominated by President Trump to serve on the Tennessee Valley Authority Board of Directors. I want to thank my good friend, Senator Tuberville, for the kind introduction and his support. And I'm also appreciative to have the support from Senator Katie Britt and my longtime friend and hometown Congressman Robert Adderhold. Speaking of my hometown, Gunnersville, Alabama, the mayor of Gunnersville, Lee Dollar, is here. along with several friends from back home. And my wife, Deborah, is also here, and I'm appreciative for all their support. I come before you not only as a 50-year resident of Guntersville, Alabama, but someone who has seen firsthand the vital role that the Tennessee Valley Authority plays in balancing the 3 E's: energy, environment, and economic sustainability. TVA's original mission was to provide reliable, affordable, and sustainable power, and that mission remains critical today. I live on the Guntersville Reservoir in Marshall County, Alabama, and in 1935, David Linenthal, TVA board member, addressed a crowd to hopefully alleviate the anxiety of local farmers and businessmen about the upcoming TVA project, the Guntersville Dam. The meeting was a success, and 1 week later, the citizens of Marshall County voted for complete cooperation with the project. The completion of the dam has been cited as the most important event in the history of Marshall County. On November the 6th, 1939, the Birmingham News reported Guntersville is having a huge industrial expansion. The reporter quoted the Chamber of Commerce president, who said that power rates in Guntersville reduced 30% because of the dam. And even now, our residential rates remain 30% below those of our neighboring providers. In hydroelectricity, the original renewable resource still supplies about 9% of TVA's power. TVA provides power to over 153 power suppliers who in turn service over 10 million customers. From the largest to the smallest, these local power suppliers embody the standard of safety and service. And I've had the privilege of serving on the City of Guntersville Electric Board since 2000. And this is one of the smaller electric companies that TVA serves. But it's given me a great understanding of the importance of a strong partnership between TVA and the local power companies, as well as the unique challenges those of us serving small rural populations face. Also, for the past 18 years, I've served on the Board of Trustees, Jacksonville State University, which is a regional school in Northeast Alabama serving over 10,000 students. And for the past 6 years, I've served as chairman, overseeing a budget of over $200 million. In fact, Forbes just named the university as the #1 employer domiciled in the state of Alabama. I've also had the honor to serve on statewide boards over the years, appointed by numerous Alabama governors. But the day I became chairman at Jacksonville State, I realized we are responsible to make sure that our students' hard-earned tuition dollars are spent wisely to ensure a degree from that university has value. And my driving philosophy, passion, humility, and integrity in all that we do. And I want to bring that same philosophy to the TVA board, where we can see a ratepayer and they know we are good stewards of their hard-earned money, and we support them in generations to come. Living in Guntersville, I witness daily the natural beauty of our reservoirs. Bald eagles and ospreys, once endangered, are now abundant. White pelicans migrate through our waters, and anglers travel from across the country to fish our lakes, widely considered among the best bass waters in the country. Protecting our environment is inseparable from protecting our economy. And our region in North Alabama is experiencing unprecedented growth, but while we welcome high-tech data centers and defense industry growth, we never lose sight of the families who receive a power bill every month, like the grandmother in Asbury, Alabama, raising 2 grandchildren on $800 a month. For her, a 10% rate increase on her power bill could be the difference between a meal or paying her power bill. Economic sustainability means ensuring that every decision balances opportunity with affordability for the people served. In closing, the decisions made by TVA today must stand the test of time. There are choices and consequences that will shape our region for the next 100 years. If confirmed, I am committed to focus on energy reliability, environmental stewardship, and economic sustainability, and ensuring that TVA will continue to fulfill its original information and improve the lives of generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll turn to Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I start, I have to say I disagree with something that my colleague Jeff Hallgood said. I believe my mom and my dad were the #1 parents in the world. But that being said, Madam Chairwoman, Ranking Member, members of the committee, I want to thank you for the opportunity to appear before you here today. My name is Art Graham, and it's truly an honor and a blessing to have been nominated by the President to serve on the TVA Board of Directors. In this time of rapid growth, I believe the TVA has an incredible opportunity, not just for the Valley, but for the country as a whole. I want to take a moment to share my life experiences with the committee. Throughout my life, I have acquired a set of skills that I refer to as tools in my TVA toolbox. I have regulated utilities, both investor-owned and municipals. I have overseen budgets and large organizations. I have managed workforce and safety issues, and I have contributed to the national energy policy. For 15 years, I've served on the Florida Public Service Commission, where I regulated utilities for the state of Florida. During this time, I've dealt with issues such as ensuring adequate generation. We've had no rolling blackouts, storm hardening, grid reliability, and storm recovery, all while keeping rates affordable for both families and businesses. Let me give you some perspective. Since COVID, we've had a residential growth rate in my state of 1,200 people per day. That is 1,200 people per day moved to the state of Florida. And during that time, we've had 7 hurricanes and still managed to keep rates affordable. On the national level, I served on the exec committee and the board of directors for NARUC. This is where I heard firsthand lessons learned from my peers throughout the United States. Prior to the Public Service Commission, I served on the City Council and County Commission of Jacksonville. This is where I learned to deal with municipal utilities, from the 12th largest in the United States to one of the smallest. I dealt firsthand with the, quote, not in my backyard NIMBY issues, like where do we put the power generation? Where do we put the substations? Where do we put the poles? I've managed people in large organizations. I was the chief administrative officer for the PSC for over 5 years, dealing with human resources, personnel management, and the daily operation of a state agency. For 12 years, I worked in the paper industry, where you learn to deal with unions, OSHA requirements, workforce, and production. And I can tell you, when the paper machine goes down, it's all hands on deck, just like when the power goes out. And I will bring this same sense of urgency and operational knowledge with me to the TVA board. I believe the above-mentioned tools and my engineering background makes me a valuable member for the President's team to take the TVA forward. What's future, you may ask? I think the TVA has a key role in supporting rapid growth in the Tennessee Valley. Data centers, manufacturing, residential growth are all coming to the Valley at a pace that will require planning and decisive actions to be successful. The TVA must focus on expanding generation capacity and not prematurely closing down current generation, expanding into new nuclear technology, and strengthening transmission to assure reliability. In short, I believe true TVA leadership in these areas would not be just great for the Valley, but will serve as a template for the United States as a whole. And I believe this fits right into the administration's energy policy. Once again, I thank you for your time, and I hope I can count on your support.
Thank you. Before we begin questions, I have 3 standard questions I want to ask, so I'll go down the dais here to get a nod or a response. So, do you agree, if confirmed, to appear before this committee, designated members of this committee, and other appropriate committees of this committee, appropriate committees of this Congress, to provide information subject to appropriate and necessary security protections with respect to your responsibilities? Mr. Graves?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Haygood?
We're going to get this right. Yes, I do, Senator.
Thank you. Mr. Haygood, go ahead.
Yes, I do, Senator.
Mr. Jones?
Yes, I do, Senator.
Mr. Graham?
Yes, I do, Senator.
Okay. Do you agree to ensure the testimony, briefings, documents, and electronic and other forms of communication of information are provided to this committee, its staff, and other appropriate committees in a timely manner? Just go down.
Yes, I do, Senator.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Senator.
Thank you. Finally, do you know of any matters which may or may not have been disclosed that may place you in a conflict of interest if you are confirmed?
I do not, Senator.
Thank you.
I do not, Chairman.
Thank you.
No, Chairman.
I do not.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm going to ask a question here, and I'm going to, number one, I think all of your opening statements were really, really good, and I thank the families and friends and others who are here in support of you, because I know filling out the forms and being able to meet all the standards is no picnic here, and so you've had a long trek to get here, and we appreciate, and I know the support that others offer you is very valuable, so thank you for that. So the Tennessee Valley Power's demand, I mentioned this in my opening statement, is projected to grow in the coming years. TVA's draft integrated resource plan anticipates 26 gigawatts of new baseload energy generation capacity is needed over the next decade to ensure system reliability. So 2 questions. What do you see as the primary challenges to TVA providing affordable, reliable energy, and how would you work to address those challenges? And I'll start with Mr. Graves.
Thank you for the question, Senator. And you're right, the grid growth needs to happen, especially with AI and other things being added to the system. I think the integrated resource plan is a critical tool to understanding what that demand is going to look like and what the portfolio should look like to be able to deliver that power. When I was at MLG&W, we did our integrated resource plan as well. So the affordability, that's the core mission of TVA, is to provide affordable, reliable electricity. So that's got to be at the core of how we look at that. I do think nuclear power is going to have to play an extremely important part, and that's a costly venture to go into. And so there are things we will have to look at as a board of how we fund that going forward.
Right, thank you. Mr. Haygood?
Excuse me. Senator, thank you for that question. I agree in large part with my colleague. Our best hope is nuclear. I'm bullish. The new SMR technology that's been around for a while it gives me opportunity for hope. It is clean, and I'm hopeful about that. The IRP that my colleague just mentioned is a critical thing that we're going to have to tackle as a board if confirmed.
Right.
That is a very, very critical thing.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Yes, and if confirmed, I will commit to continue to look into carbon-free future technology and to also increase the hydropower and the nuclear, which on the nuclear end of it, we need a sense of urgency.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Graham, did you have a comment on what the problems might be to, how are we going to get to this exponential gigawatts that we need to at the TVA? You've probably dealt with this in Florida. I mean, what are the stumbling blocks? What are the, yeah, so if you have a comment on that.
Thank you, Chairman. I think number one is to make sure that the numbers that people are talking about are legitimate. I mean, is this a pipe dream or is this actually going to come true? I believe it is, but
You mean on the gigawatt side? Or
Yes.
do we really need all this? Okay.
I think that needs to be verified and make sure that we dotted our I's and crossed our T's. I think the biggest opportunity, as some of my colleagues down here have said, is going to be nuclear. I mean, especially the SMRs. And I think that's one of the things I'm mostly excited about being in the TVA, because I think we have the opportunity to make that happen and try to make it happen as quick as we can. And I think once we've done that, then we can use that as the template for everything else. I mean, I think I've seen what happened in Georgia with Vogel and how long that took. I mean, it went $16 billion over budget,
Right.
and it took an extra 6 years, and nobody wants to be the next one going down that path. And so
Right.
I think SMRs is going to be the solution to that, and I think TVA is in a position to be on top of that and have that sense of urgency to move forward with it.
Well, thank you. So I'm going to start with you this time. So on economic development, I'm particularly interested in this aspect of it, being an Appalachian myself, not served by the TVA, but very similar regions and pockets of our states that still haven't developed. And so how do you see TVA being able to continue that mission, but maybe change the mission, change the way the mission's delivered maybe for those remaining areas of the of the TVA authorities area that have yet to be touched and been able to be a beneficiary of the economic development opportunities?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. I think personally, the Valley, TVA Valley, is primed for growth, is primed for opportunity. I've come from manufacturing. I've had several years working in paper mills, several years working around power boilers. I think main thing you're going to need land, you're going to need access to water. I think TVA, the Valley area, has an abundance of that.
Yeah.
And I think you could bring in opportunities that maybe can't fit other places, that won't fit in New York City, that won't fit, some places, in Miami, that sort of thing. And I think it's just a matter of making sure you chase after the right industries that fit in those locations.
Right. Thank you.
I can tell you, being in Jacksonville, we're a very pro-military town, and we have a lot of blue-collar people that put in the 20 years, and they're looking for something to do afterwards. And we used to argue all the time, do we chase after Google and Microsoft, or do we chase after some of these manufacturing outfits? Because we have the workforce there that can come in, go to work every single day, and do the job. And they've already proved it by serving our country for 20 years.
Thank you. Do you mind if I go down? Are you? Okay, Mr. Jones?
And thank you for that question, because it's near and dear to my heart, living in Gunnersville, Alabama, being in a rural area, knowing what it takes to run a power line out to a mobile home that's a quarter of a mile off the main road, and making sure that they have sustainable, affordable power, and those folks are taken care of. And at the same time, partnering with the local power companies and everything from weatherization to solar programs on rooftops. Working with that way right there and then partnering, I think, with the local power companies is very important as far as the economy and economic growth.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Haygood? I think you need the microphone. Is the microphone on?
Excuse me. Thank you for that question, and thank you for reminding me again. I need to be better at that. Senator, when I heard you ask that question, I couldn't help but think about broadband. Broadband was not, of course, in the TVA Act of 1933. TVA is not in the broadband business, but TVA ought to do everything that they can to help local telecoms and the local power providers make that happen, particularly in the rural areas, which I grew up in a rural area, and that's very near and dear to my heart.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Mr. Graves?
Thank you, Senator. The TVA Act was for rural communities and to serve them not just with electricity, but bring economic development to those areas. We see that happening today in the Tennessee Valley. A great example is the Blue Oval, the Ford plant in Brownsville, Tennessee, which is a rural community and that has brought jobs and economic development. So I don't think it's changing the mission. I think it's refocusing back on our original mission.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Whitehouse?
Senator Kelly is here under a bit of a time crunch, so if the chairman will permit,
Oh,
I'll
sure.
let him
Senator
go
Kelly,
ahead.
go forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator Whitehouse. And thank you for all the nominees for being here today. It was nice to see you all in my office yesterday, and I wanted to talk about one of the topics we discussed in that meeting, which is the data center construction across the country. My understanding is that TVA, that region, uses about 17,000 megawatt hours of energy on an hourly basis right now. But some reports indicate that the TVA region is seeing demand from data centers that could add an additional 11,000 megawatt hours to what is currently being used. While acknowledging that these estimates may be bullish, we can reasonably expect that the region will need to significantly increase the amount of energy or the amount of power that it produces and the energy it consumes. I recently put out a policy framework called AI for America, which argues that utilities need to make sure that the cost of adding new generation capacity is borne by these large power users, not families and not small businesses who sometimes have to struggle to pay their utility bills. This could include innovative power purchase agreements that better account for upfront costs and encourage long-term investments to make our aging grid more resilient. So I'd like to hear from each of you on this. How would you handle the unprecedented demand from data centers in the TVA region, and how will you protect that ratepayers? How would you protect them from rate hikes caused by the increased demand? We'll start with Mr. Graves.
Thank you for that question, Senator. 100% agree with you. It cannot be on the back of ratepayers. I come from Memphis, Tennessee. We have an extremely high poverty level, and loading on more utility expense to the backs of their paycheck is just not doable. I do agree with you, power purchase agreements are something that this board will need to look at. And again, AI is out of the bag. It's not going back in. And so we have got to figure out how to deal with that and the energy demands for that. Thank you.
Mr. Hagood.
Thank you, Senator, for that question, and certainly enjoyed a few minutes with you yesterday. Thank you for that. I totally agree. Costs should not be borne by large corporations and passed on to the back of our ratepayers. I'm on the other end of the state from my colleague here to my right, but I grew up in a very rural area, and that's a very important issue to me, and thank you for that question. It confirmed you.
Mr. Jones.
And thank you. It was nice. Enjoyed time with you yesterday. And I would say the data centers, that's all we're hearing about now, is data centers everywhere. However, when they come in, what's it going to cost to supply the power for that? And then what if they leave 5 years from now and we're left holding the bag? So there's got to be a partnership through bonds, or a bond for them to say, if you're not here longer than 20 years, you're going to pay for this power. Because we cannot put it on the backs of the grandmother in Asbury, Alabama, that's trying to feed 2 children.
And Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Senator. In the abundance of time, I agree with my colleagues. We have something that we call cost causation, and basically the cost causer is the one that's got to support all that cost. And we just got to figure out an effective way of making sure that happens.
Do each of you agree that maybe we should consider a separate rate class for data centers?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I think that is something that the board would explore in the future.
Okay.
Senator, thank you for that question. I think that is very worthy of consideration. And if confirmed, I certainly would look into that and be happy to report back to you about that.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
Absolutely a different rate class, but at the same time, I hope that the data center's paying for their own power that they have provided themselves.
Okay. Mr. Graham? All right, and then finally, this unprecedented demand for new energy, and it's significant. I mean, we might have to double in Maricopa County the amount of available. And, I think we need an approach that looks at, most available options. Some gas, nuclear, hydropower, and renewables, certainly, like solar and wind. So quickly, in the remaining time, do each of you feel that we should consider renewable energy like solar, wind, battery storage as part of the solution?
Thank you for the question, Senator. Yes, I think we've got to look at all energy generation. We aren't going to have any option but to look at everything.
Mr. Hagood?
Yes, Senator, thank you. Everything should be on the table.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Mr. Graham?
Yes, Senator, I think a diverse grid is a resilient grid, so I agree.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Wicker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I may use some of that same stretched 5 minutes that our distinguished chair used. I'm from Mississippi. We already have our member on the board, Bill Rennick, who is chairman of the Tennessee Valley Authority Board. His term doesn't expire till 2027. So I'm glad that Tennessee is getting 2 more, and now Alabama will have its share. Mississippi is actually the second highest user of TVA. Tennessee has 52% of the total area covered by TVA, and after that is Mississippi at 19%, Alabama down at 11. So we're not Tennessee, we're totally TVA. We can compare, and I can just say that TVA, where it is available in Mississippi, is quite appreciated and quite popular. There was some statement made about acting boldly, and I certainly want to commend, and I think I see from the testimony, Madam Chair, Mr. Ranking Member, that there's much appreciation for the bold action of TVA in recent years. The Clinch River project will be one of the first at the forefront of nuclear development in the United States, currently 2 to 3 years ahead of anyone else in terms of SMRs. In my own state of Mississippi, we are benefiting from the rates that give us economic expansion. GE Aerospace has just recently expanded in Panola County, near Batesville, the Golden Triangle, Columbus, Starkville, and West Point, home of Mississippi State University. There in Starkville is now home to 5 TVA certified megasites. TVA is advancing plans to build simple cycle natural gas plant, and it's just astounding the things that are happening. When complete, the New Caledonia site in East Mississippi will bring 500 megawatts to the grid, enough to power 250,000 homes, which is quite a big area in a rural state like Mississippi. There's a company called Oklo, which is out of Oak Ridge in Mr. Haygood's neighborhood. It has an advanced nuclear technology company that will invest nearly $1.7 billion to build fuel recycling right there in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. The folks there are thrilled about this, and it again speaks to the vision of the current and past leadership. The facility is located at a 247-acre site at Oak Ridge Heritage Center. There's also an outfit called Intra One Energy. Will collaborate with TVA to provide up to 6 gigawatts of new nuclear power generation on sites in TVA's 7-state region. And this will eventually be able to power the equivalent of approximately 4.5 million homes, or 60 of these new power-consuming data centers, which we're all concerned about, and which I joined my friend Mr. Kelly from. Google, Kairos, they are bringing transformational change in the nuclear energy area field to TVA. TVA is the first U.S. Utility to sign a PPA to buy electricity from Advanced Generation 4 reactor, and Hermes 2 is the first deployment under Kairos Power landmark deal with Google. And I could go on and on, not to mention the charities and nonprofits that TVA supports. TVA Bicentennial Volunteers, $655,000 in robotics awards, and yes, TVA prices are still something that we benefit from in Appalachia, Madam Chair, and I certainly appreciate that. I'm so impressed, and I'm going to take some extra time if you don't mind, and I know my friend from Massachusetts won't mind, because I listened to him for over an hour yesterday in the Commerce Committee. And he is a dear friend of mine. But let me just, going through the testimony today, Mr. Graves knows it well, and I grew up watching Memphis TV. I'm so old that we didn't have TV in Tupelo. We had to watch Memphis until I got on up to the teenage years. And so I know about MLGW. But Mr. Graves says Memphis and the Valley region are well served by TVA. Thank you for saying that. We can do better, but I think most people in the Memphis viewing area and an MLGW area agree with that. And Madam Chair, Mr. Haygood's testimony is they had an opportunity to look at other providers that made outreach to them. They said, no, we're going to stick with TVA because they've served us better and they will serve us better. Mr. Haygood says, today TVA continues to drive energy production, economic development, and access to natural resources across the region. And Mr. Jones, as somebody who frequently goes by Lake Guntersville, and who every chance I get goes to Pickwick Reservoir in the northeast corner of the state of Mississippi. Yes, I mean, we love TVA's power generation, and yes, almost 10% is still hydropower, and that's renewable as far as I'm concerned. But that wonderful Lake Guntersville, I mean, that is an economic engine for the area, and the same for Pickwick Reservoir. And Mr. Jones says, even now, our residential power rates remain 30% below those of neighboring providers. This is a great testimony, and kudos to the president, my colleagues, for bringing someone in from outside the TVA area to bring some new thought. Mr. Graham, he knows what he's doing. It's obvious because he's been doing this in Jacksonville. But he's also aware of this NIMBY issue. In his testimony, he says he's aware of the not in my backyard people. And there's got to be a balance here because somebody's backyard has got to generate power, and we need to be mindful of those folks, but we also need to be mindful it's got to come from somewhere. And also, I appreciate Mr. Graham saying we can't prematurely close down current generation and make the contribution to generation that Mr. Kelly and others have alluded to. We're going to have to do it right, and yes, nuclear and renewal is the way to go. So I appreciate the acknowledgement from these fine witnesses who I intend to vote for in acknowledging the contribution and the great work that TVA has done. And yes, the economic development and jobs are there. And I look forward to the board, which has been working mighty hard but doesn't have a quorum, being complimented by these witnesses. And thank you for that extended 5 minutes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Whitehouse.
Thanks very much, Chairman, and welcome to all the nominees. Thank you for your visit to my office yesterday. Unlike Mr. Haygood, I did not have the wisdom to start my own practice, but spent my early years as the junior new kid in the Attorney General's office, where they came in and handed me utility regulation. Nobody else wanted it. I was the new kid. I had to do it. And I've learned a lot from those early days. And one of the things I've learned is that the way that the grid works is that usually nukes run constantly because they're low marginal cost. And then usually solar comes on next because it's the next lower operating cost, followed by wind, and then the grid price set by the most expensive unit that has to be called up is almost always a fossil fuel unit. And so if you remove clean energy from the grid, what you're doing is requiring for the same level of demand that more and more expensive fossil fuel powered units get called up. That raises costs for everybody on the grid. In most grids where that last unit called up is the price setter. Now, I know it's a little bit different on the TVA grid where you use a more blended grid, but I think the principle holds that if you suppress the lower cost forms of power, you drive prices up for your ratepayers, even if it's only on an average basis and not on a grid-wide basis. And in that light, I would like to ask if each of you will honor the board-approved retirement timelines for the Kingston and Cumberland coal generating stations. You could just go right across if you don't mind.
Thank you for that question, Senator. I think it's a little bit more complicated than answering yes or no. I think we have got to use all of our energy sources right now to meet the demand. And I think you heard me mention earlier the Integrated Resource Plan, which ought to be the strategy document for TVA. We've looked at that at a very high level, but we are going to have to dig into the details. And I
You
think
plan to honor the existing Integrated Resource Plan, or are you going to change that?
I think we will, Senator, I think we will have a new integrated resource plan here within the year.
Is that the same answer across the board? Anybody prepared to commit to honoring the Cumberland and Kingston Station plan?
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator. My answer would be the same as my colleague on the right.
Mr. Jones, same?
Until I'm confirmed, I would like to look into this and see, because I do believe in the renewables and carbon-free
Mr. Graham, same?
future.
Pretty much the same, sir.
So one of the other things I wanted to ask you, we talked about this a little bit when we were together. If you go to the Kingston station and the Cumberland station, they boil water with coal, but the steam then runs through steam turbines, and that runs generators that send out power through transformers that link to the grid connections and the transmission lines. In addition to all of that mechanical, electrical infrastructure, you also have the all-important community infrastructure of the workforce there, the men and women who have the expert knowledge and experience to run those facilities. So I want to ask each of you to assure me that you will give an honest, hard look at whether small modular reactors create the opportunity to boil that water at those stations and protect the rest of the infrastructure and the workforce around it while still meeting the board-approved goals regarding those two stations.
Ranking Member, we talked about that yesterday. I found that to be an intriguing concept. And yes, I think we should explore that if we can. It should lower cost of the program as well and time frame if we can leave portions of it in place and only replace the heating element. So
Certainly if you try to locate a new small modular reactor station somewhere, and you have to start from scratch, and you have to deal with siting issues, and you have to build the steam turbines, the generators, the transformers, the transmission, and the workforce, you're in a much different proposition than you are if most of that is already there, and you're just boiling water a new, cleaner, safer way.
Senator, as I said, yes, I found that intriguing, and that was a takeaway
An
from.
honest look at it?
Yes, sir.
Senator, thank you. I certainly would take a honest, hard look at it.
Yes, sir. And to me, again, we talk about nuclear, but we've got to have the sense of urgency to make this happen and then to put it in place.
Mr. Graham?
Senator, thank you. I think it's a fantastic idea. I've talked before about when you're talking about new nuclear and you have to quote, nuclearize the entire site. I don't think you need to do that. I think you just do a black box. You just do where the power is generated. You don't have to worry about the water and the steam generation. You don't have to worry about anything on this side, just that area. And I think in your scenario, you can take that same black box and put it anywhere. And so I think it's a great way of retrofitting old plants.
My time has expired, but let me ask each of you to be responsive to the questions for the record that I'm going to file for you to answer where you can take more than 5 minutes and reflect a bit first. But in particular, I'm going to be asking you to reflect on the fact that I believe is true, that if you suppress wind and solar power and perhaps battery support for wind and solar power, you are virtually inevitably raising costs for your TVA ratepayers at the end of the day. So thank you.
Thank you. Senator Markey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm a big fan of public power. I know communities and labor are as well. Why? Because it's a win-win-win. Public power puts local communities before investor profits. It pays workers what they deserve, and it keeps energy affordable. In fact, because of its public power model, the Tennessee Valley Authority's electricity is cheaper than over 70% of our nation. So yes or no, going down the line, do you support the privatization of TVA? Yes or no?
No.
Thank you, Senator, for that question. The answer is no, sir.
No, sir.
Senator, thank you very much for that question. I've experienced both public utility and investor-owned utility, and I think there's absolutely no reason to do anything different here.
The answer is no?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Okay, yeah, no, good, thank you, appreciate it. So I just want to dig a little deeper. Yes or no, going down the line, do you agree not to sell off any portions of the service region, including transmission, hydro, or public land assets?
Senator, I don't think that's the board's decision. I think we uphold the TVA Act, which is enacted by you guys.
Do you agree not to sell off any of the portions of the service region, Mr. Hagood?
Senator, I agree with my colleague. That would be my answer. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I do not see any reason why to sell any of TVA's assets off.
Thank you. That's the correct answer. Yes.
Sir, until I hear something different, I don't see any need to make any changes as far as selling off assets.
Thank you. At a time when utility bills are going up because across the country because of Trump's anti-energy policies, it's more important than ever to have public power that's responsive to the region's Main Street needs, not Wall Street shareholders. And privatization would be a direct threat to both TVA customers and TVA's workforce. So yes or no, going down the line, do you agree to maintain strong collective bargaining relationships and protect good-paying union jobs? Mr. Graves.
Thank you, Senator. I have not read the collective bargaining, but I agree to do that and make a decision after I'm fully understand it.
Senator, thank you for that question. I believe that TVA's employees, as of maybe 6 months or a year ago, were 57% union, so the answer is
So you would make a commitment to continue collective bargaining?
I would make every commitment to look into that and
That's not a commitment. Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir, I would.
Thank you, sir.
Senator, I think it's working very well right now. I have no desire to get in there and make that change.
No, thank you, sir. Yeah, we need a commitment to public power. We need a commitment to public power employees, union workers who are doing the job right now. So this is an astonishing number, but only 4% of TVA's energy portfolio is currently comprised of wind or solar. Just a staggeringly low number. By comparison, in my own home state of Massachusetts, where Senator Schiff was born and raised as a boy, still a Red Sox fan, it's not the sunniest place, Massachusetts, But last year, 25% of our electricity came from wind and solar. Only 4% in the TVA, which is a lot sunnier. So the good news is that the TVA has a large stock of carbon-free power and has recognized the benefits of moving towards clean, reliable, affordable energy, setting a target of 10,000 megawatts of solar by 2035 and net zero emissions by 2050. So yes and no, going down the line, do you commit to adhering to TVA's target to reach net zero emissions by 2050? Mr. Graves.
Senator, that is tough to answer yes or no to. I think we are in the middle of an integrated resource plan, which is taking a look at future demand and our energy
TVA has a stated goal to be zero by the year 2050. Do you commit to fulfilling that plan?
Senator, I commit to making sure we've got enough power to take care of our citizens.
I know, yeah, you're not committing. Yeah, Mr. Haygood.
Senator, thank you for that question. I think because of the great power need, I think that probably has to be reevaluated.
Yeah, I think that I can hear what the two of you are saying. Pretty clear. Mr. Jones.
Senator, currently over 50% of the power generated by TVA is carbon-free. So we hope to keep on striving on that. Also, on the 4%, I'd love to also include hydro, which is the original renewable resource.
I appreciate that. So how about
And so that makes us 13%. Yeah. So that makes us 13%.
The answer, yes?
Yes, sir.
You commit to that goal?
I commit to see what we can, I can't promise that's going to happen because of the need for power. However, it
4%
needs to be a go.
renewables is all you have right now.
It needs to be a go.
It's sad. Yeah. Yes, sir. Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Senator. Can I get you to repeat the question, please?
Yeah. The question is, do you commit to adhering to TVA's target to reach net zero emissions by 2050? It's the existing goal of the TVA. Do you commit to adhering to that?
I commit to
target?
looking into it.
Jimmy?
I commit to looking into it.
Again, TVA should be the cutting-edge leader. They're already on third base with the lead. You have incredible resources down there. It's sunny almost every day in that region, which is not in Massachusetts. And I think it's a pretty sad commentary that we're not getting a more enthusiastic response to the goal of deploying renewables and meeting the goal which was established years ago, which is eminently achievable. But it's just still a continuing sad commentary on the vision which the TVA has. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Schiff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as is often the case, Senator Markey asked many of the questions I was going to ask. I won't repeat those questions for you. I appreciate the opportunity we had to meet in my office. I share Senator Markey's view. Public power has helped keep energy affordable in TVA. It has attracted industry. It's strengthened rural communities for decades, going back to the establishment of the TVA under Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal. I think that public power model is the best path forward for TVA, and I was glad to hear in our conversations and again in committee that you're committed to retaining the public power model. I strongly disagree with any effort at privatization of TVA assets or moving away, selling away the resources of TVA, which has proven so successful. I also think it's vitally important that you honor the collective bargaining agreements that are in force and that you make it possible for people to collectively bargain and make the choice to form a union or not form a union, that be free and unfettered. Let me turn to the last topic the Senator asked you about, but maybe with one specific. I understand that the TVA board approved the retirement of 2 of the 4 coal plants in TVA's service area. The 2025 TVA Integrated Resource Plan forecasts that all coal units will retire by 2035. Are you committed to maintaining course with the 2025 Integrated Resource Plan when it comes to coal retirement? Mr. Grace?
Thank you for the question, Senator. And I do believe we need to maintain as a public utility company. It may be a struggle to meet those targets just because of the increased demand. Again, we hope to be able to learn more and figure out how to move forward with our integrated resource plan, which is going to tell us what we need and how we fulfill that need. And so I think right now it may be hard to meet those targets.
Well, I think a lot of that increased demand may come from data centers. And in connection with negotiations over companies that want to establish data centers, there's an opportunity for you to maintain the climate goals that have been set and to maintain the retirement schedule that has been set for the coal plants. So I don't think generically increased demand is a reason to continue coal plants that have properly been scheduled for retirement. But Mr. Haygood, what's your view?
Senator, thank you, and thank you for meeting with us yesterday. I do think it would be hard to meet those goals.
So you're not committed to retiring the coal plants then?
With the situation with the great power demand in our country, Senator, I don't think I can.
So if it's necessary to accommodate new data centers, your view would be, let's keep the coal plants going, rather than let's require the data centers to participate in generation of cleaner energy?
Senator, thank you. My goal would be that everything is on the table to meet the growing power demand. That would be my answer.
Mr. Jones?
Senator, if confirmed, this will be one of my top priorities to look into this, because the data centers are going to require so much power. But there was an article in the Wall Street Journal this week about bring your own power. And so hopefully those data centers can be bringing in the renewables, carbon-free power to sustain the power for them, which in turn would take less stress off of our grid and our power generations, and increase more solar power and hydro. I'm a big fan of hydro.
And Mr. Jones, I agree to a point, and that is when you say you would hope that these new data centers and the companies behind them would bring in renewable energy.
Right.
You'll have the power to insist that that's where the new energy comes from.
Exactly.
And your communities are going to suffer whatever deleterious impacts there are from these data centers. They may not create many jobs. And if it's going to mean the coal plants remain open longer and people suffer the ill health effects and don't get many jobs as a result, doesn't look like a good bargain to me. So I would ask you to keep that very much in mind. And Ms. Graham, did you want to add anything on the question?
Senator, thank you very much for that question. Data centers are all over the board. There's people that are excited about it. There's people that don't want it in their backyard. I think, and you weren't here earlier, we talked about the number one job is for us to figure out how much power generation we're going to need moving forward. Today, tomorrow, next year, 5 years. Then once we figure out how much we need generation-wise, I can't see prematurely closing down some of these other plants until we have the generation to replace it. I'm not saying you can't close them down, but until we have the generation to replace it, you can't.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I would just say, just to conclude, I'm glad you all expressed solid support for maintaining the public character of TVA. And I hope never to learn that should you be confirmed for these positions, that you do an about-face on that issue, which is of signal importance to me and to, I think, a lot of members of Congress. And with that, Madam Chair, I yield back.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that will bring our meeting to conclusion. I would like, for the record, to ask for unanimous consent that I have letters of support for various nominees, so ordered. I'll order it myself. I'm not going to object to myself. I thank you all very much. I look forward to your confirmation. I will be voting for all of you. I think that the expertise that you bring, while varied, is extremely needed on the board, and we obviously have challenges ahead of us. Coming from a coal state, I have to say that we've powered generations of this country for years, And we're going to continue to do that until we find a better way. And that's what you all basically were I think, signifying to us in your answers. So I thank you for that. With no further questions, I would like to thank the nominees and all of my colleagues for participation in today's hearing. Senators who wish to submit without written questions for the record have until 5 p.m. this Friday, October 24th, to do so. The nominees' responses to those questions are due back to the committee no later than the close of business on Monday, October 27th, and will be submitted for the record. I would note, Chairman, our Ranking Member Whitehouse did make the comment that he will be submitting some questions to you, so I would pay attention to that and to those dates that I expressed. And with that, this hearing is adjourned, and thank you very much. Good luck.